Blue School's been around for about 5 years now. It started as a play group and it developed into kind of a preschool, and now it's a bona fide school with a bona fide location that we're all very happy about. And it was one of those things where when we started working on it, we realized we had hit a nerve because people came out of the woodwork, other families, but teachers, educators in the field, neuroscientists, and they said this is something that they've been thinking about and wanted to help us develop.
Welcome to The Next List. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta. Today you're going to meet 3 agents of change who are challenging traditional methods of teaching kids. They've begun an educational revolution, so to speak, certain that nurturing the human spirit is as essential as learning to read. These innovators opened Blue School, where the emphasis is on collaboration, creativity, and the curiosity that leads to adventure. So what makes them experts in the art of learning? And how do they come up with the educational idea of a lifetime? As you'll see, the inspiration and the name, they didn't come out of the blue.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Banana. Banana. Knock, knock. Who's there? Banana. Banana. Knock, knock. Who's there? Orange. Orange who? Aren't you glad I stopped saying banana?
The world that kids are graduating into now is so fast-paced and changing that they actually need to be students of innovation. They don't necessarily have to be artists, they don't necessarily have to be inventors, but everyone needs to know how to get up on that wave and ride it as opposed to be knocked over by it.
Hi, I'm Phil.
I'm Chris.
I'm Matt, and we're 3 of the 6 co-founders of Blue School. You know, the world is clearly neither sustainable or harmonious at this point. And it's really going to take us and everyone around today and the kids growing up into being the leaders of the world to change our course.
I think to solve those problems, the problems we have today and in the future, it's going to take a level of creative thinking that maybe education hasn't done the best job at in the past.
Innovation, we believe, is actually something that can be taught. It's something that can be nurtured. I think there are a number of reasons what brought us and the other 3 founders to starting Blue School. In some ways, it felt like it was a reaction to the culture and what was out there or what was not out there. In another way, we felt as if creativity and social emotional learning and collaboration wants to be folded into the education experience as much as any of the other academic subjects.
I'm Molly. I'm a kindergarten teacher here at Blue School. This is one of the few places that I have seen, participated in, where children are at the heart of the learning.
What you'll see is a class will decide that they want to talk about the weather. As kids of a certain age always do, they get fascinated by tornadoes. From tornadoes, you can go to so many areas. You can go to mathematics and other sciences. You can also go to geography. You learn that the only other place in the world where tornadoes take place besides the American Midwest is Mongolia. So this is how you use threads to get into a place that they're excited by and artfully weave in all the other disciplines.
I'm Ken Robinson. I'm an educator, an author, and I'm on the advisory board of the Blue School. I met Matt and Phil and Chris through the TED conference. They saw the talk I gave in 2006 on creativity and contacted me. We arranged to meet for an hour for lunch. And the hour turned into 8 hours. I cancelled the rest of the day because I thought they were great. I loved them. I just thought they were great. I loved what they were attempting at the school. I loved the way they were thinking about it. But I took an interest in it because I'm always interested to see schools who are trying to do something different.
good news for us is that we didn't have to invent this idea from scratch. There have been some incredibly innovative thinkers around the world working on these ideas, testing them. And so we were able to reach out to those people, learn from them, connect with them, and employ those ideas in day-to-day curriculum in the classroom.
We had started a relationship with David Rockwell, famed architect. After having done the Imagination Playground just 2.5 blocks away, he had spent the last 5-6 years of his life studying how children play and learn.
I think environment and space has everything to do with how kids perceive the world. While many playgrounds look different, right, and there's a lot of variety in how playgrounds look, the actual play value was quite similar. So I started to research the need kids have for their own child-directed play. We started to realize there was this very interesting idea out there in the world that kids need to create their own world. They need to have risk. They need to have the opportunity for failure. They need to see what happens when they're creating something singular and they try and link it with the community. I didn't go to the Blue School thinking that I was going to end up being the architect for this project. I went there as someone who was interested to see what they were doing. Every part about it seemed spontaneous and wonderful, and the kids seemed great. It's thrilling to be a part of seeing it evolve.
I hear all kinds of people say to me that they're not very creative. I think they're mistaken about it, and the reason is that they're naturally creative. It's like people are born with a natural power for languages. If you were born into a household that spoke 5 languages, you'd learn them all. But if you're born into a household where 1 language is spoken, you learn that one. And then you struggle a bit later on to learn a second language. So you have a capacity for it. Whether you realize it's a different matter. By the time most people, in my experience, get through their education, they start to think they're not very creative. And the reason is they haven't developed the abilities that go with it. The problem is that our current systems of education, systemically, they're rooted not in the 21st century, but in the 19th century. The way you improve education as a system is not to standardize it, but to customize it, but to personalize it. Because in the end, every kid has their own story.
The kids and the teachers having a dialogue together about what they want to learn, and the kids feeling like they're owning some of this direction, but then the teachers artfully, deftly sewing into those subject matters all of the things that kids need to learn at the different ages to reach all the benchmarks, to satisfy all of the people out there that want to make sure that kids can read and do math and all that other stuff. But you can get that in, nested within an adventure.
For me, co-construction is all about trying to find all those pieces and fitting them together to be a community of learners. My first year at Blue School, when I arrived, and I watched a child in my classroom create a catapult out of Legos and launch a little Lego across the room, and watch the entire class turn to the child and go, "Oh, you made a catapult." That was my click. There was this child bringing a simple machine into the classroom, and from there, we launched a whole catapult unit, where I had children age 5 talking about pivot points and fulcrums. That for me was that click when I said, this isn't just a theory, this isn't just a philosophy, this is what education should be.
Why now has to do with things we know now that we didn't know. You know, there have been so many recent discoveries in the area of neuroscience, and we know now that you can actually change your brain by the focus that you put on your brain, by learning how to think. You can actually learn divergent thinking. At Blue School, we feel like part of this worldwide movement that understands the importance of knowing how your brain works. So we intend to really take advantage of that new knowledge that's just, you know, in the last couple of decades.
We're excited to see and experience the Blue School approach in other cultures because it's two-way responsive.
We want to see how it works in other people's hands, and we want to learn from that and have that come back to us and have it change here and morph and go back and forth. We're very much interested in that kind of an open dialogue with the rest of the educational world.
I think a key to Blue School is that we are all learners together, and I think teachers forget that. I think they have to be the ones to deliver the answers all the time. And if we can really hone our understanding of being an inquirer along with our students, then we can bring a little bit of blue into every other school.
They're passionate, and they're practical, and they're inspired. And that's the kind of energy that you want in a great school. They had the professional and other resources to at least make a start. I'm sure what they'll tell you is that when they started out, that they hadn't anticipated just how complicated and demanding the journey is. But the great thing about them is that their passion is completely undimmed, their enthusiasm grows by the day, and they're problem solvers. So each time they encounter the next problem, they engage with it and try and find a creative way to deal with it.
From the first brilliant blue experiment on the streets of New York, to successful shows across the globe, to a school championing educational reform, Blue Man Group has found a way to consistently innovate by looking at the world as it is and realizing it as it could be, both through the eyes of their unique characters and the minds of young children. They are agents of change in every way, building upon the bedrock of their success and encouraging growth through humor and the art of play. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta. See you next Sunday, right here on The Next List.